process.
That's very interesting. I mean, so your past life, you were a cat, and you were a snake.
Right.
You were a snake.
Somewhere in between, yes, and somewhere in between, and I'm going to make you laugh, I was also a French whore. Her name was Catherine. Yeah, around the time of Toulouse-Lautrec and all of those people, because I remembered the Moulin Rouge. When I saw pictures and posters of Lautrec's posters, I recognized them. I knew that life. And the funny thing is, I'm fluent in French. And when I was in school, my grades were always straight A's. I knew the language before I studied. And when I saw something, I knew it was my language. I knew it. And, you know, I didn't know why. When we did the past life, she had dyed with red hair. She was probably only 26 when she died, and you know what she died probably of. But she was Catherine Lafleur. She was a naughty French girl in the middle of Paris in the red light district.
Wow.
I would never have chosen that for myself, but I guess somewhere along the line my soul did. You know, wow. I learned how to speak French. Ça c'est très misérable, monsieur, parce que ça c'est une situation très étrange, very strange, but it's true. I learned to speak French very rapidly, and I think, like Aristotle said, you don't learn things, you remember them.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, my father, he could write and read French and spoke a little bit of French because he's part French. In fact, my grandmother was known as the angry French woman. And, and why she was always angry, who knows? But yeah, I got a little French in me.
The only time I have any French in me is if I'm eating a croissant.
Now, you've been to Egypt, right, Michael?
Yes, I have, about 4 times.
Okay, 4 times. Wow, okay. Also, too, like, well, what are some of your travels? So you've been to Egypt. Where else you been to?
Italy, France.
Okay.
All over the Southwest, from California. I took a long trip with a friend of mine. We were picking up a car in Pismo Beach. I loved that I was down there because Bugs Bunny always took a wrong turn in Albuquerque and missed Pismo Beach. So I went to Pismo Beach and Grover Beach. We drove all the way down. And so I won't get into that, but it was 15 days on the road. It was so much fun. But I've been all over California, all over New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, Louisiana. Then we went down to Georgia, where I am now, Florida, and then all the way back up to Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, and then all the way back up to Ronkonkoma in Long Island. It was a long, long trip, and it was a lot of fun. But I've also been all over France, India. India was an amazing thing. A friend of mine was getting married. She was from Corona, New York, but she was an Indian. And she was on her 3rd marriage. Her father had had enough. He had gotten a matchmaker. He was sick of it. She got 2 divorces. He said, "Look, girl, this time it's on me." And she said, "Oh, come on, Dad. This is traditional, though. In the Indians, a matchmaker will make the bride, bridal compacts." So she was furious, but she went to Bombay. Well, it was Bombay then. Now it's Mumbai. And she met this guy whose American name was George. I have no idea what his Indian name was. I probably couldn't pronounce it. But if there is such a thing as love at first sight, it was. And all I can tell you is the wedding took 3 days. I went with her to a place called Jaipur to get all of her jewelry and a beautiful red gown that was laced with all kinds of gold. I don't know how she could walk with all that gold on. It was crazy. We had a great time. I ate way too many Indian dishes that I loved. And then we flew back. That was fun. I was all over there. I was Jaipur. I was in Agra. I was in Delhi. I was in New Delhi. I was in Mumbai. And then I went up to another friend of mine's wedding, which was in Pakistan. And I was in Karachi, and we went shopping in Lahore there. And then I've been to Japan. I've been to parts of Australia. That was another fun trip. I got attacked by a koala there. Long story. I had a shirt on that had eucalyptus. It was paper, and it was eucalyptus pressed in it, and the koala thought my shirt was delicious. Ooh, I'm gonna lose you. I almost fell off my pedestal.
You know, I love traveling. I've been to 59 countries and territories. I went to Paris, France with $29. How?
Wow.
Because I was in the military, and the bus ride to Paris and back was $29.
So you needed other money, though. You had to eat.
Oh yeah. I mean, I spent money on hotel stuff, food and stuff like that. But the bus ride just to get there was $29. I couldn't pass that down. And I saw Notre Dame on Napoleon Bonaparte's gravesite, the Eiffel Tower. You know, that was great to see all those things for $29.
I wish I had done it that cheaply, but I didn't. Paris, though, I went with my first time I ever went was with my mother's brother, my Uncle Lloyd. I was about 10, and I didn't pay for anything. He took me everywhere, but every time, you know, he was a young man, and every time he wanted to go do something, he locked me in the hotel room. And I could see the Eiffel Tower and the Arc de Triomphe. He took me to the Louvre, he took me to Versailles. We went to Rouen in the north of France, and I said, wow, he said, this is where Joan of Arc, and there again, flash. I was on the side of the river. There's two sides to Rouen, and I was on the side of the river, and I had a flashback. I was a little boy. I believe I was one of her standard bearers, and I said to an older man in a monk suit, "Is that where?" And we were looking across the river, and I could see smoke. I didn't see her burnt at the stake, but I knew she was. So that was, and I got a horrible, like a, I don't even explain it. Like in an astral projection, you jump back into your body. There was a shiver that happened, and that was in Rouen. I was in a hotel, and I could look out over the river, and I could see what was happening. It was a freaky thing. So I did live in France at that time.
Wow.
And I can't even look at her. You know, I can't look at statues or things of that nature. And one of my other past lives in Egypt, his name was Ai. He was a grand vizier, and he was one of the people responsible for the fall of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. I was working with Horemheb, his own mother, who was Queen Tai, and the other general, whose name was Ramesses I. We overthrew him, and all I remember was putting Tutankhamun on the throne, and this little boy is scared to death because you've got this army and priests of Amun that are, you know, all shaven heads and they're in robes and they're all very severe. And I remember saying to King Tut, "See here, you little bastard. We're not going to let what happened with your father happen again." As you know, Akhenaten overthrew all of the peoples, all the other gods and goddesses. He only worshipped Aten, and he really didn't care about the country. People were starving. All he cared about was his sun disk, and that his family, his immediate family, his 6 daughters and his wife, and his now adoptive King Tut was his son, but not his wife's son. He was his sister's son. But all he cared about was that thing, and the rest of the country he could go to hell. He couldn't care about. So I remember I literally can see myself saying, "Look here, this is how things are going to be, and I'm doing this with my hand, and you will follow us, and you will change your name from Tutankhaten to Tutankhamun." And that was how that happened. He was 9 years old, and he was frightened, and he should have been. We were going to kill him. So I know from my heart that that's true.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to mention that Daniel Diva is in the comments section, and she says hello to Donnie and myself. And also too, she's over at the Devonian Botanical Garden. Botanical Garden, okay.
Botanical, yeah,
Botanical, yes. So anyway, yeah, she's having a good time over there, and I'm pretty sure the next time that she's on, she's going to display some pictures from that garden. And also, too, there's people asking her, okay, if a lot of people don't realize this, but Danielle is a descendant of Dracula. Yes,
cool.
yes, I know Michael likes that. And so Andrew Gnome's Trucking Express, he says, he's asking Danielle if she saw the article about a person missing at Dracula Castle. And she responds that he was lost in the woods and that wolves attacked him and finished him off, unfortunately. And I'm just wondering, was it wolves or was it werewolves? Because, I mean, when I was stationed in Germany, we had the Black Forest, and they talked about werewolves being in the Black Forest. What do you think? What do you think about that, Michael? You believe in werewolves?
I'm not sure. I mean, I know I'm on the fence about a lot of cryptozoology. You know, in Egypt they also have people that can turn into snakes and into cats and crocodiles. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that they aren't like a dire wolf, like a larger species of wolf, and not human at all. That's more my inclination. I have a friend, his name is Alexander Battery, and he's related to Elizabeth Battery, who was the Blood Countess.
Yes, yes.
And Danielle will know all about, well, he lives in Holland, and his relatives are probably, they're related to our hostess here. Because Elizabeth Battery was directly related to Vlad Tepes.
I know that the vampire race had a lot of confrontations with the werewolves or wolf race in the past. I don't know if they ever made up or they still have confrontations with each other.
I have no reference. Yeah. I don't like to speak about something that I don't have any reference about. I do know that there's a lot of other different kinds of vampires, like psychic vampires that drain your energy rather than blood. Mm-hmm. That I'm very much aware of. Energy vampires, as it were, people that make you feel tired when you're hanging around with them, and suddenly they're energized. I'm sure we've all experienced that.
No, you're talking about energy vampires. Energy vampires will look for an occupation in which they could be around people to drain their energy, like a history teacher. A history teacher who's very boring, monotone voice, and he puts everybody to sleep. He sucks out your energy. You have also two physical vampires who get jobs like a drill sergeant in the army, so they can wear you down doing exercises. Coaches who can also too wear you down. So you got physical vampires, you got energy vampires, and you have sexual vampires. Sexual vampires are a person like who is a player. He goes from one woman to another woman, draining their energy and sucking out their energy, and he gains all this power and he feels great. I made another conquest, blah, blah, blah. So those are three different types of vampires. And then, of course, you have your blood vampire who takes energy from your blood by biting your neck or whatever.
Well, I know about the energy vampires. And back in my youth, I can tell you from the old days of disco, people on the dance floor that, you could see that people were getting energy from pulling energy away from other people. You could see that, and I mentioned the dance floor because people were going crazy. There was a friend, dancing in a frenzied pace, and all of a sudden the other people around that person were exhausted. So that, I do believe in that. As far as blood vampires, I think, what I was told is there are a lot of people that work in hospitals or blood banks and things, and that they do better biting into those things or drinking it that way, as far as running around with a cape on and whatever, and snarfing somebody's neck. I'm not sure about that.
Oh, there's Tim.
Oh, Tim.
There's Tim.
Hey, Tim, how you doing? We're talking about the.
All right, I was able to make it.
Hi, Tim.
Yeah, fantastic. We're talking about the different type of vampires, and we're talking about energy vampires, physical vampires, sexual vampires, different type of vampires that are out there. Like an energy vampire, they take occupations where they're around people and can suck out their energy. So let's say I want to become a history teacher because I'm an energy vampire, and I want to talk in a monotone voice and put everybody to sleep and suck out your energy. So, and then also too, you have physical vampires that take jobs like a drill sergeant in the army, so they can physically wear you down with exercises.
This is gonna fuck everything up again.
A coach in high school, and you also too, you have your sexual vampires, who is like a player, and he goes from woman to woman, and he drains their energy because he makes these conquests. So, have you heard about that, Tim? All these different type of vampires?
Oh,
I'm
sure.
having trouble. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I saw you pop in and
I
out.
can't hear anyone now.
You can't? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
This
we
gonna
can.
help.
Yeah, that's what I said. We can hear him.
Yeah.